Yeah, can Stephanie White just like can the Indiana Fever just take the fine? Can they just take the fine at this stage? Because like we're now at the stage where when it comes down to it, every time I hear Stephanie White speak, I get more annoyed.
The raw frustration in that statement is palpable, isn't it? From the very opening moments of this season, a simmering tension has been building between the Indiana Fever's coaching staff and a fan base ravenous for success, particularly around their generational talent. This isn't just about a few bad plays. It's about a fundamental disconnect that has fans pulling their hair out. Why would a coach alienate her own team's supporters? What could Stephanie White possibly be saying that elicits such a visceral, immediate reaction every single time she speaks? Welcome back to the channel, WNBA fanatics. Today we're diving deep into the comments that have set the league ablaze, fueled by the rising star of Caitlin Clark and the confounding strategy of the Indiana Fever. The WNBA is buzzing like never before, with new fans flocking to witness the magic of players like Clark, Paige Buchers, Angel Reese, and Aja Wilson. But behind the glitz and glamour, a storm is brewing in Indianapolis. The sentiment you just heard isn't isolated. It's a widespread cry from a fan base desperate for their team to unlock its full potential. They see a superstar in Caitlin Clark, a player who can single-handedly change the trajectory of a franchise, and yet they perceive a coaching philosophy that seems to actively work against her strengths. This isn't just a coaching disagreement, it's a cultural clash between old-school WNBA philosophies and the new era of star power and offensive dynamism. Are the Fever intentionally stifling Caitlin Clark, or is this just a massive misunderstanding? Let's dig into the details of this puzzling approach.
Has some weird thing about not playing through Caitlin. And I've always said this, you don't need to play to Caitlin at all. Caitlin Clark can shoot one shot in a game, and she can impact a game. But if you don't play through her, her impact becomes makes and misses.
That's a damning indictment right there. Some weird thing about not playing through Caitlin. It implies a deliberate choice, a strategic decision that seems counterintuitive to anyone watching the games. If Clark's impact is reduced to just makes and misses, you're essentially stripping away her playmaking, her court vision, her ability to elevate every player around her. It turns a dynamic offensive engine into a mere spot-up shooter. And as we're about to hear, that's a dangerous game to play with someone like Caitlin Clark. The speaker touches on a critical point here. Caitlin Clark isn't just a shooter. She's a playmaker, a passer, a gravity puller who opens up opportunities for everyone else on the floor. Her presence alone warps defenses, creating space that lesser players can only dream of. To simplify her role to just scoring means missing out on 80% of what makes her special. It's like buying a Ferrari and only driving it in first gear. The Fever are failing to capitalize on her most revolutionary attribute, her ability to make everyone else better through her passing and offensive threat. Think about the greatest players in any sport. They don't just score, they command attention, they dictate the pace, and they create for others. Clark has shown this throughout her college career and in flashes in the WNBA. Yet, the current system, according to many fans and analysts, isn't allowing that full spectrum of her game to shine. It begs the question, is this a lack of understanding from the coaching staff, or a stubborn adherence to an outdated philosophy? Whatever the reason, the impact on the court is undeniable, and it directly ties into the next point about her shooting consistency.
Caitlin Clark is too streaky a shooter to become about makes and misses. It is what it is. Like, she is too streaky of a shooter to have her impact brought down to makes and misses. Because on game, we can't have a situation where a streaky shooter...
There it is. The cold hard truth about even the best shooters. Everyone has hot and cold nights. But if you're relying solely on those makes and misses for a player's impact, you're setting them up for failure, and by extension, your entire team. Caitlin Clark's value extends far beyond the stat sheet. Yet the Fever's current approach risks reducing her to just that, a number on a box score. This is not just a strategic misstep, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of her unique talent. This insight is crucial because it highlights the vulnerability of a strategy that hinges on a streaky shooter's consistent performance. While Caitlin Clark is an elite shooter, no player can hit every shot, every game. Her true genius lies in her ability to attract double teams, to draw defenders, and then make the precise pass that leads to an easy basket for a teammate. When her shot isn't falling, this playmaking ability should become even more pronounced, ensuring she remains a net positive for the team. But if she's not empowered to do so, If the ball isn't cycling through her hands to create those opportunities, then her off-shooting nights become glaring liabilities instead of teachable moments. This isn't just about winning or losing. It's about developing a generational talent. Young players, even superstars, need a system that supports their growth and allows them to perform even when their primary weapon isn't firing on all cylinders. Denying Clark the chance to consistently run the offense and facilitate means denying her the chance to develop those other aspects of her game at the professional level. Could this strategy actually be hindering Caitlin Clark's overall development as a WNBA player? The question that keeps a lot of fans up at night, especially when they hear what Stephanie White says about other players.
About how they want to play, how they're playing without Aaliyah Boston.
You know, we've got opportunities to play through Maisha and Didi in the same way that we do, you know, AB, especially in the quarter court. So we need to take advantage of that.
Want to play through Damiris Dantas? Are you fucking kidding me? She can't catch the ball. Whatever it Maisha Hines Allen. Damiris Dantas shouldn't be seeing the floor.
Then this, right here, is the moment that ignited the wildfire of fan fury. To hear a coach, whose team boasts the biggest name in basketball, openly discussing playing through players like Damiris Dantas, a player with a demonstrably shaky grasp on fundamental ball skills, while seemingly sidelining Clark's primary playmaking role. It's not just baffling, it's an insult to the intelligence of the fan base. The casual dismissiveness, the outright disbelief in the speaker's voice, perfectly encapsulates the sentiment felt by thousands watching at home. She can't catch the ball. It's a simple, brutal truth, and it makes White's comments utterly shocking. This isn't just a critique of Dantas as a player. It's a critique of the decision-making at the highest level of the Indiana Fever organization. When you have a player who struggles with basic ball handling and receiving, actively planning to play through her, especially in the absence of a key player like Aaliyah Boston, sends a clear message. And that message, to many, is that the coaching staff is either completely out of touch with their roster's actual capabilities, or worse, deliberately choosing an inefficient, frustrating path. Fans are asking for Dantas to be completely removed from the team, but they are questioning her role as a primary facilitator, particularly when Clark is on the court. The disconnect here is astronomical. You have a player who redefines what's possible on the offensive end, and you're talking about running your offense through someone who can't catch the ball. It sounds like something out of a parody, not a professional sports league. The WNBA is growing, talent levels are soaring, and every possession matters. Wasting possessions on a player ill-equipped for a primary role is not just poor strategy, it's disrespecting the effort of the entire team. But what does this say about the coach's overall assessment of her roster and her understanding of modern basketball? The comments are so egregious, some are even suggesting Dantas shouldn't even be on the roster.
She should have been cut. She should have been cut. If Damiris Dantas is doing anything other than shooting a wide open three-point shot, like, this is one of those things where it's like, players where it's like, you have to sit them down, they're like,
that's a strong statement. She should have been cut. It speaks to the perceived gap between Dantas' actual performance and the role Stephanie White envisions for her. If a player's skill set is so limited that they should only be attempting wide-open three-pointers, then building an offense around them, especially in critical moments, seems utterly nonsensical. The expectation from fans is clear. Optimize your roster, play to strengths, and cut players who are actively hindering progress. This isn't about personal animosity. It's about competitive integrity. The call for Dantas to be cut or waived is not a hyperbole born of internet outrage. It reflects a deep-seated belief among many that her presence, particularly in an expanded role, actively detracts from the team's potential. Every minute a player like Dantas, with perceived fundamental limitations, is given a playmaking responsibility, is a minute that Caitlin Clark or other capable players are not. This isn't just frustrating, it feels like a self-inflicted wound for a team trying to build momentum and find its identity. The WNBA is a league of elite athletes, where every player on the roster is expected to contribute at a high level. If a player is deemed only capable of one very specific, limited action, like a wide-open three-pointer, then the strategic decision to play through them in other capacities becomes utterly baffling. It raises serious questions about talent evaluation and roster management. Is this a case of a coach prioritizing loyalty over demonstrated skill, or is there a hidden strategy that no one else can see? The speaker even offers an example of how such a limited player should be used, if at all.
Like Michael Porter Jr., where it's like, okay, you're not going to touch the ball a lot, but every time you touch it, for Nuggets, every time you touch it, shoot. When you are open, every single time you shoot. And that's the way Damiris Dantas should be, because she can shoot the ball a little bit.
That comparison to Michael Porter Jr. is perfect. It highlights a pragmatic approach to utilizing a specialized player. If Dantas can shoot, then let her shoot. But to force her into a playmaking role, a role she's clearly ill-equipped for, is a recipe for disaster. It's about understanding player archetypes and deploying them effectively, not trying to force a square peg into a round hole. The fact that this simple basketball logic seems lost on the Fever's coaching staff is what truly grinds the gears of the fan base. The MPJ analogy isn't just about Dantas. It's about maximizing every player's potential within a cohesive system. If a player has a singular elite skill, you build plays that accentuate that skill, and you shield them for responsibilities where they are clearly weak. Porter Jr. isn't asked to initiate offense or dribble extensively. He's put in positions to catch and shoot. This is foundational basketball coaching. The idea of playing through Dantas suggests a much broader, more central role than simply being a spot-up shooter. This isn't just a philosophical debate. It has tangible consequences on the court, leading to turnovers, broken plays, and stifled offensive flow. In a league where every possession is vital, especially for a young team trying to find its rhythm, these self-inflicted wounds can be devastating. It's not just about Dantas. It's about the opportunity cost. Every minute she's trying to be a facilitator is a minute where Caitlin Clark could be creating, where the ball could be moving more fluidly. Are the Fever coaches actively handicapping their own offense by miscasting players? The evidence, as we'll see, seems to point to a resounding yes.
Is just an auto turnover. I'm like, auto turnover. She shouldn't be on, like, she should have been cut. She should have been waived. And now suddenly we're hearing about her getting on-ball reps. Like, this is bad.
Auto turnover. Waived after preseason. These aren't casual criticisms. These are assessments rooted in on-court performance and a clear understanding of what it takes to succeed in the WNBA. The idea of giving Dantas on-ball reps after such a dismal showing, after calls for her to be cut, beggars belief. It feels like a slap in the face to anyone who understands the game, and a direct contradiction to the team's stated goal of improving. This isn't just bad coaching, it's a baffling display of strategic misdirection. The term auto-turnover is particularly stinging because it highlights a preventable error, the guaranteed self-sabotage. In professional basketball, giveaways can swing momentum, deflate a team's spirit, and ultimately cost games. To knowingly put a player in a position where turnovers are a high probability suggests either a profound misjudgment of skill or an experimental approach that is ill-suited for a team with championship aspirations, especially one featuring Caitlin Clark. Furthermore, the suggestion that Dantas should have been waived after preseason underscores the perceived performance gap. Rosters are tight, competition is fierce, and every spot is precious. Keeping a player who struggles with fundamental duties and then elevating their role sends a confusing message about accountability and meritocracy within the team. Are the Fever operating under different criteria than the rest of the league? The frustration isn't just about Dantas, but about the systemic choices that seem to undermine the team's potential. And for many fans, this constant annoyance circles back to one person.
Is that okay to say, as a fan, that I'm just annoyed? I get annoyed by her. I don't think there's a malice situation. I don't think she's out there, like, you know, some people are saying, oh, she's just like trying to maliciously take down Caitlin Clark. I don't agree with any of that.
The speaker isn't holding back, is he? Stephanie White just annoys me. It's a raw, honest expression of frustration that many fans share. And crucially, he immediately clarifies that it's not about malice. This isn't some conspiracy theory about White actively trying to sabotage Clark. It's about something far more insidious, and in a way more frustrating. A perceived incompetence, or a stubborn refusal to adapt, that makes listening to her press conferences a genuinely aggravating experience. It's not malicious, it's just bad strategy, wrapped in baffling rhetoric. This distinction is vital. Accusations of malice, while common in the heat of fan discussions, often oversimplify complex situations. The speaker here is deliberately moving past that narrative, grounding his frustration in perceived professional missteps, rather than personal vendettas. This makes the critique even more potent, as it targets the coach's strategic acumen and communication style, not her character. The annoyance stems from a consistent pattern of statements and actions that seem to defy logical basketball sense, especially in the context of maximizing a talent like Caitlin Clark. Fans invest emotionally in their teams, and when they feel that their investment is being undermined by questionable decisions or tone-deaf commentary, frustration inevitably boils over. It's not about hating the coach, It's about wanting the best for the team, and seeing what appears to be a clear path to improvement being ignored. But if it's not malice, what exactly is driving this baffling coaching approach? And why does Stephanie Weiss' communication ignite such widespread anger? The answer, as we'll hear, lies in the dumb shit she says.
But I just don't like listening to her. I just don't like listening to her. Every single time I have to listen to Stephanie Weiss talk, it annoys me, it frustrates me. Because she says dumb shit like this. She'll say dumb shit like this.
She says dumb shit like this. That's a punchy, direct accusation. It's not just about disagreeing with her. It's about the perceived quality and common sense of her statements. When a coach consistently makes comments that seem to fly in the face of what fans are seeing on the court, or what basketball common sense dictates, it erodes trust and patience. This isn't about specific tactics. It's about the very credibility of her public pronouncements, which only serves to deepen the chasm between the team and its supporters. The use of such blunt language, dumb shit, underscores the depth of the speaker's exasperation. It implies a pattern of communication that is not just unhelpful, but actively detrimental to the team's image and fan morale. In the age of social media, where every soundbite is amplified and dissected, a coach's words carry immense weight, especially for a team under the microscope like the Fever. When those words consistently contradict on-court realities, or fail to acknowledge the obvious, the fan base feels patronized and alienated. It's not enough to win. A coach must also manage the narrative, inspire confidence, and connect with the supporters. If a coach's statements frequently come across as illogical or dismissive of fan concerns, it creates a toxic environment. This is particularly true when those comments touch upon the team's biggest star, who, as the speaker points out, is the primary reason most fans are even there. What kind of dumb shit is she saying that specifically triggers such a furious backlash from the overwhelming majority of the WNBA's new audience? Get ready, because the examples are even more infuriating.